really dry
It
out.
was half the price of
But
a stupid
the fish
cab.
will stay right in these
Lady
flat
at the
spots.
hotel said, oh, they're like, oh,
I caught one with a rock.
Yeah.
That was a kid's.
I'll get you some books I have.
the same distance.
I'll get you some books I have. Field books for all the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, cool.
And everything else.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm doing something similar. The first week of September, my family's old family cottage. We rented it for 3 doors down on the same lake.
Oh, okay.
By Big Bass Lake.
Yeah.
So just did it last week.
Oh, cool.
Rented it.
It's overload.
That will be cool.
Yeah. It'd be hard to drive by the old cottage.
Oh, yeah.
2 doors away.
No, don't. Mike's not here, so I have to do it.
You got my job.
Because Mike does.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Where is the rest of it?
Like to call Ferrisburg City Council meeting to order tonight, Monday, June 4, 2018 at 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hop,
Here.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Here.
Councilmember Twa,
Here.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Here.
Councilmember Carlson,
Here.
Councilmember Blease.
Here.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I make a motion that we dismiss or Mr.
Excuse.
Councilwoman, excuse him for.
I'll support.
Motion and support.
Everybody.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed. Moving down to 3, invocation by Mayor Hop, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather here tonight to make decisions for our community. May we use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is before us tonight, and act according to what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. Please protect all of our men and women in uniform and keep them safe from harm. We pray this in your holy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. Down to 5, public comments. At this time on the agenda is any citizen to direct brief comments or questions to City Council. Time for public comments will be given when an agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand to be recognized by the mayor, and after being recognized by the mayor, please stand, give your name and address for the record. Proceed with your comments or questions. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Yes.
Lisa Royce, 17700 Navajo Drive. I talked to Craig earlier today about the water bill situation, and I was just wondering if the council would think about if you discuss that again later today, tonight, to mention how it's budgeted for summertime water usage for grass. I don't think a lot of residents know, and I think, you know, they would be concerned that they're paying extra water and sewage for sprinkling the grass. Because I called today because I know Grand Haven gives people meters to put on their outside watering places, and certain places do it different ways. And I think that, you know, we should explain to the citizens of Ferrisburg how you come up with, he said that they use, what did you say, Craig, December, January, February, or?
February, March.
Right, those usages or whatever, but I think that should be explained to some people, because you're gonna get in a situation where people are gonna quit watering their lawn and, you know, all of that stuff. So I just thought that when you get into this discussion, it should be on public record. Thank you.
Sandy Tuggle, 17939 Dogwood. I just wanted to follow up to from the last meeting, my comment about the YouTube channel and the live stream. I was just wondering if somebody wanted to maybe just explain to me what the benefit of deleting those videos would be, because it seems like, for the sake of transparency, it would be nice to have them up and not deleted. I know we can request audio of old meetings, but they were, I listened to a lot of them over the last couple years, and they were really difficult to hear kind of what's going on. And just having this YouTube, I mean, you've already invested in the camera and gone to the work of the channel. I just don't understand why you guys would delete the videos.
We're going to add this to an agenda item in the future, talk about retention.
Okay, thanks.
Any other further public comments? And we'll move on. Agenda item 6, consideration of approval of consent agenda. Approve the May 21, 2018 City Council meeting minutes as printed.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further comments? Hearing none. All those in favor stating aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passed. Moving down to 7, new business. Discussion, take action if appropriate to approve, not approve the issuance of the Ferrisburg Sand Mine permit to Ottawa County LLC, Ottawa Sand, for a 3-year term which will expire on May 1, 2021, contingent upon the city receiving a bond of $25,000 for the expiration date of August 1, 2022. And Craig, we have that information in our packet. Any additional?
No additional. The application's in your packet. This is something that the sand mining company has done every 3 years. They come into the city and get a permit from the city to continue their sand mining. Even though there's no sand mining going on at the present time, this would keep their permit active. So in the future, if they wanted to mine sand, they could do that. Planning Commission held a public hearing. There was no public comments. The Planning Commission reviewed the material in the application and the map and made a recommendation to City Council to approve this application.
I've got a question. What's the purpose of getting a sand mining permit if the land is being sold to the county?
It's in the process of being sold, but it's not a done deal yet. So if the deal falls through, this will give them the opportunity to continue mining sand. That's correct. They received a grant in December to purchase half the property with a commitment to purchase the second half later this year. So that's what the game plan is at this time.
I'm sorry, can we go back to what you just said?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Half the property in the second half?
Right. There was a 2-year grant award. So they received half the grant in December of 2017 with a commitment to receive the second half of the grant in December of 2018.
Okay, so there's going to be a one-shot deal when it comes to buying it. They're not taking the grant money that they received and then paying for a portion or anything like that?
Want to speak on that, Phil? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Phil Johnson with Ottawa Sands, 18042 North Shore Road. The process that was established, it was kind of an 11th hour application to the Natural Resource Trust Fund within the 2017 grant cycle. And to make room for this acquisition, the NRTF board asked Ottawa Sands if they would be willing to take payments over 2 grant cycles. So the answer to your last question, will there be a portion sold one half and another half held? No. We're actually working with the NRTF and the Land Conservancy of West Michigan and the National Conservation Fund to bring all that together into one closing, which we hope will occur by the end of the year. In the event something goes awry, the purpose of this 3-year renewal is to keep that opportunity open in case something happens.
Haven't you, or part of the requirement for purchase was to remove all the equipment, the sand mining equipment?
The site's been completely restored, reclamation's complete, the state's inspected it and released all of the bonds.
So I'm confused, what's the purpose of the permit if you have no intention of mining?
Well, if the sale does not occur, then we will continue to mine the property.
But you have no equipment there?
You need a front end loader. We have a dredge on site. We have 60 acres of lake to create over 6 million tons of material that can be excavated out without processing the material and taking it to market without further wash or beneficiating.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Sure.
I'll make the motion to approve the issuance of a Ferrisburg sand mining permit to Ottawa Sand LLC.
I'll support.
So do we need the total for $25,000?
Staff's recommendation, yes.
All those in favor stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passed. 7B, discussion take action if appropriate to request a waive of water and sewer connection fees for the new Habitat for Humanity house located at 17330 Michigan Avenue.
Your Honor,
Yes.
if I may at this time recuse myself, as I am an employee of Tri-Cities Area Habitat for Humanity.
Okay, please make that a note.
Am I recused from discussion as well? Okay.
Has this been done before within the city? Thanks, Bill.
I'm not aware of the fees being waived. I'm not sure how many Habitat houses have been built in the last few years, but it's been a while since one's been built in the city. I'm not aware of any being waived.
Setting a precedence for future Habitat homes in the area? Possibly, or other
Possibly,
nonprofits?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there's Habitat for Housing works on affordable housing, and that's one of the things that the area communities are working on is providing affordable housing for people to come in here and live. Habitat for Housing does a great job of providing affordable housing, and this might be a time for the city to consider contributing to providing affordable housing to our residents or in the community.
Greg, I was a little bit confused because you're referencing two different addresses. Are you splitting the service between two addresses or an existing home and the second lot or something?
No, it was all one parcel at one time, with the house being 17511 Ridge. And then back in 2008, that parcel was split into two parcels, one parcel containing the house and the vacant lot at 17330 Michigan. So when the house was constructed and connected to the sanitary sewer at 17511 Ridge, they paid for the water and sewer connection fees at that time. Some lots in the city, when the sanitary sewer went through, there was two lots. Some property owners paid for two special assessments because they knew in the future they would be splitting that parcel. And then when they split that parcel, it would be a ladder already to service it. This parcel did not do that. So that's why we were charging the full connection fees for sanitary sewer on this lot.
In the rundown here on the numbers, what is this less 50% thing?
So the total cost to connect to the sanitary sewer is $15,175. And when the city council approved the budget last year, they included a reduction of 50% in connection fees for new construction. All new construction. That's correct.
Greg, the executive director for Tri-Cities Area Habitat is here, Beth Hannes.
Yeah, would you like to
If you have any questions.
First, I want to thank you for considering this. It's something to think about. The state passed a law where Habitat doesn't have to pay property taxes for 5 years on vacant land. And we are not holding this piece of land for 5 years, but want to put a house on it. That way, the city of Ferrisburg will be able to collect taxes on it much sooner. And the houses that we have been building in the city of Grand Haven and in Grand Haven Township, when we're done, they're appraising anywhere from $148,000 to $180,000 without a garage. And that's just a simple, safe, affordable house. And so this would make it extremely, help us make the house more affordable to a new homeowner. It also is highly energy efficient. We build the LEED standards. They have the tankless hot water heaters, and they're all ADA accessible. We do. They had twins at one time. One passed away, and the dad almost died. He needed a kidney transplant. He got it and is really healthy now. Could have stayed on Social Security disability. Immediately got a job, went back to work, making less than he did on Social Security disability. And the wife is also disabled. So this house means a lot to them. Their little boy, they're living with family right now, and their little boy has asthma, and they're all smokers. So the sooner we can get them into a house, the better.
For this home. Anybody want to support?
I'll support.
Motion and support. Any further conversation?
Rich.
All those in favor stating aye?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you
Motion
so
passed.
much.
Thank you. All right. Moving down to item C. Presentation by Peter Klein, Energy Conservation Source for the City Hall Energy Project.
Good evening, everyone. How much time do we have?
As long as you need, sir.
5 minutes.
Oh, I'll try
Somewhere in between.
Hockey game's on.
to keep it short. So, it's fun to be here. I haven't been in front of the city council for about 10 years, so that was actually in Europe, so that was, so it's fun to be back at city council. If you hear a funny accent from the Netherlands, energy conservation source, we can go to the first page. Craig has the files I'll point out to you. It's Ferrisburg Solar. Kind of in the middle there. So the idea is for questions and answers, but I will start with the presentation to kind of walk you guys through it, so you have an idea of what it is, and then we do questions. Does that sound good? So Energy Conservation Source, I'm one of the founders. It's a West Michigan-based company. We're out of Muskegon. We're members of the Grand Haven Chamber, very local. Kids go to school right here. So we do engineering, procurement, construction of solar systems. But we also do leases, so we have basically two models. Most of the systems we build are owned by the building owners. What's different in this case is for solar, you get tax credits, tax benefits. However, as a nonprofit, you can't use those, which means that you, as a city, will pay much more for a solar system than you would. Go to the introduction page. I'll start with a few. So I'll start with introductions, the goals, the opportunity. Then I'll show you what the new electricity mix is of this building, where we are right now. Sure. Of what this building is using right now. Then I'll show you what the project will look like and the steps we need to implement. Then we go to question and answer. So this is what I just told you. Next page shows one of the pictures. So we've done several systems in the area. So one of them is a Supreme machine right here in Spring Lake. You can see it when you travel north in 31. You see it on your left side, right next to Herman Miller. So that's one of them. We did Westwind Construction in Grand Haven on their new head office. So that's a little bit smaller system, 30 kilowatts. Then we did. We're currently working for the Congregation of St. Joseph in Kalamazoo, a larger system. It's a retirement home for sisters. They want to be sustainable, so we're building their system. Want to go to the next page, Greg? Yeah. So this is showing the Supreme machine. System. So it's 150 kilowatts. We built it 2.5 years ago. So the next one, that's the Spring Lake Fire Station. So there we use that same model as we're proposing here. So basically we own the system and they get power at a lower price, at a lower cost than what they get it from the utility, from us for a period of however long they want it, but it's 6 years. It has to be 6 years to start with, and that's because of the tax benefits. They play out over the first 6 years, so the ownership cannot change in those first 6 years. And actually, they've gotten a LEED Gold certification, and it's for part, it's thanks to the solar system that gave them the extra point they needed to become gold. So there's going to be an event next week for it. So ask Brian Sipe what they think about our system, or you can go to any of these references, people you know, and ask them how they think we performed. And next one is Westwind. So this is during the construction phase. You still see some unfinished stuff in the background. So you see the solar panels in the foreground. The next one is High Tech Electric in Portage, right by Kalamazoo. I want to show you a few pictures too, so you get a feel what this all looks like. On the next one, so these are several systems combined. So this is a farm in Hamilton. There you see actually Barry Boat Works in Spring Lake as well. So they're going to offset half of the power used by all those boats that have their AC on in the summer. It's going to be produced by solar. So half of their energy bill is going away. So that was built last winter. It's fully operational. This is the fire station Ypsilanti, where we also did a lease structure. And on the right, you see Firekeepers. So it's casino, it's actually their hotel. And we provide both electricity. They own the system. We provide electricity, but also hot water. So these are panels that can actually do both, can make hot water and electricity. Go to the next page. So the goal of the project. So your power bill is basically, your power bill is two elements. Some have three elements. The two of your power bill is basically how much you use and how much do you get charged per kilowatt hour. And both of those are variable. What you use depends on the usage and the efficiency of the building. The kilowatt hours are not decided by you, but by the Grand Haven Board of Light and Power. More than $10,000 a year are spent right now on electricity. That we estimate is going to go up to $14,000 once the high school moves in. I don't know where that is standing today. But anyway, that is a curve that goes up pretty quickly. Then average, you see utility rates in the country go up about 3% per year. So you see everything is going up and relatively quickly. As said, you have no control over what that price is, what your utility charges. So the objectives here are to reduce your energy costs, at the same time reduce your maintenance costs, because we're going to maintain the energy efficiency equipment that we would install inside the building, improve productivity and comfort by better lighting and better temperatures inside the building, and improve sustainability. Obviously, the power plants don't need to work as hard anymore to make the power for the building. Go to the next. So the opportunity here, why are we together today? It's because I met Craig at the Grand Haven Chamber meeting, and someone told me that there was going to be, or maybe you did, that there was going to be a new roof on your building. Well, that's a perfect moment to think about solar for several reasons. One is that you have a new roof, so you're not worried about the roof needing to be maintained in the next, say, 20 years. You can use the presence of the roofing contractor to do some of the work. I will explain that a little bit later. And you get a roof that gets protected from UV rays, so actually your expected lifetime of your roof is going to be extended. So you could get a clean power for 40 years. 40 years is what solar panels are expected to last. Actually, half of the first panels that were made in the 50s are still operational today. Guaranteed energy unit cost in advance. We can tell you, so and we can talk about it later more in detail, but we can give you, we can tell you now what your price of electricity is going to be over the 40 years. Then you can buy the system after 6 years if you desire, and you get batteries included. Why do you get batteries included? Because Grand Haven Board of Light and Power does not allow something called net metering. Net metering means that the meter turns backward if you produce more than you use. For example, on weekends, this building is for sure going to export. Consumers Energy still has, but it's going away too, has a net metering process where basically you get, if you pay 14 cents, you get 14 cents paid back for the export. Grand Haven Board of Light and Power pays you wholesale rate back. So basically, they pay you 4 cents, you pay them 14 cents. Therefore, we include the batteries because those batteries can be charged during the day and used during the evenings, and and basically charged during the weekends. And that way, we can take as much advantage of not exporting any power, so we get the maximum value out of the batteries. Go to the next page. So this is what's going to look like. So you see today 100% of your energy bill. So this is actually the future bill, and that's where we assumed 14,000. So your power use is going up by about 40% due to the high school moving in. Energy efficiency is going to take 45% of that bill away. Another 34 is going to be taken away by the solar. 21% will be left over for the utility to supply. In the 34 is included whatever is charged in the batteries and comes back to the building. So what is it going to be? It is a 27 kilowatt solar system, similar to the size of what we put at Westwind Construction, about 25% smaller than what is on the Spring Lake Fire Station. 21 kilowatts, 30 kilowatt hours of batteries. That doesn't mean maybe a lot to you, but 21 kilowatts means it can supply 21 kilowatts at any time. 30 kilowatt hours means that's the amount of kilowatt hours it can charge. With that, we think that we have found an optimum between, you know, the summer, because it's in the summer that you're going to use the batteries most, and in the winter where there's a lot less sun, so you're going to have less excess power, so you're not going to exporting that much. Also convert the inside and outside line to LED, add occupancy sensors, and potentially some other energy efficiency improvements. Go to the next one. So this is what it would look like. This is our first design, and it kind of shows you, and it's kind of impressive to see that by having only that little part of the roof, you can offset so much of your power bill. It means actually that the building is already quite efficient. So we wanted to put some here above the entrance so people see it as well. Because if you put it just on that roof, now it doesn't have to be there. That's a good location because there's very little shading. But we can also put it on different roofs, because I've heard that you might not be doing the whole roof at the same time. We'd like to do it on one of the first pieces of roof you do it on, so we don't need to wait 2 or 3 years to do it. So the way it would work is we would basically pay for and install the solar system, which would be about $140,000. And we would also do the energy efficiency improvements at the same time. That total is about $140,000. Then, correct, everything of that is included in that. Then you will receive that power, and so there's two things. We're going to generate power, which I showed on that diagram, and we're going to save power. Both of those we're going to put at the same price. And that's about 30% less than what you pay today for the Grand Haven Board of Light and Power. So to us, part of our investment will pay back through tax benefits, and part of through lease payments. So that's how it works out for us. So the city will, so basically of the 14,000 that we expect your future usage will be, about 10,000 will be produced and saved by this system. Of that 10,000, you get to keep 3. So basically, your 14,000 power bill is going down to 4,000. Then of that 10,000 saves, you're paying us 7, so we can pay that system back. So you end up paying, your 14 goes down to 11, because you keep paying 4,000 to the Board of Light and Power, and you're paying us 7. So that means that you get 30% of the savings of the system. Right? The system saves 10,000, you get to keep 3,000. So after 6 years, you can buy it for 7 times the annual savings. And that's the same formula used for the Spring Lake Fire Station, which in this case means about $70,000. So total lifetime savings is between $200,000 and $800,000 over the 40 years. The $200,000 is in case you never buy it. The $800,000 is in case you buy it after 6 years. So that's kind of what it is. The other perk, you know, for you and the things we do is we operate and maintain. So you're not going to change the light bulb again in the building, because we do that until the contract ends. So after 6 years, when you buy it out, then it will be on you. But if you buy it after 7, 8, 9, it's really completely up to you when you want to buy it out.
Don't buy out after 6 years, what happens?
Then you keep paying us the same rate for the savings. So you pay us, if there's $10,000 of savings, you pay us 7. So you pay $10,000 less to Grand Haven Board of Light and Power, and you pay us 7, and you get to keep 3. If you buy it after the 6 years, all the savings are for you. So now you start saving 10,000, and actually by then what you're going to save is more, because power prices keep going up. Absolutely, yes, yes, yes. No, I'm not going to do that. No. Unless you don't pay the bills. So let's go to the next page. We're almost through, I think. So the objectives, no impact on the roof structure. So I heard there was a little bit of, and that's very normal. People always ask about what happens to our roof. We definitely don't want any leaks. So on the right side, you see the system we installed at Westwind Construction, and that's what's called an anchored system. So what you see here is a roof anchor, and the system is attached to that. So basically, that's a piece of rubber on top, a metal plate under it, and then you have the roof. And we have those installed by the roofing company, so the roofing company will not cannot say we don't guarantee this. The other option, where we also don't penetrate, is an ballasted system. And that's what we did at the Spring Lake Fire Station. Actually, we did a little bit of both at the Spring Lake Fire Station. Basically, you need to make sure the system doesn't lift off by the wind. That's what the ballast is for at the Spring Lake Fire Station. You also need to make sure it doesn't move around. And that's what those roof anchors are at the Spring Lake Fire Station. Roof anchors are used every day for rooftop equipment on a roof, so it's not something exotic. We already figured out that we're going to run the wire. There's a little wall on the roof somewhere, and we run the wire in horizontally and not vertically. So even for the electric connection of the system to the building, we don't need to do any penetrations of the roof. And we always work with the roofing company and make sure that they basically write a letter, this solar system will not affect your warranty. We guarantee a minimum of kilowatt hours per year saved. In the future, we could increase it potentially. We could add more solar panels, but that's if we agree. Maintenance operations included for solar systems, lighting, and other improvements. And of course, that's the other advantage of the batteries. You now have backup power. So if you wanted to have some services in the building that are available in case of emergencies when the grid goes out, we can you can basically hook up to that part of the system. So in the main electrical panel, you can basically get a feed out of there that will feed those critical uses. Go to the next page. So here we go, steps to implementation. So dimensioning of solar and battery system, we've done that. We need to get an agreement. We need to agree on terms. We have a typical contract we can share with you to have a look at. Then the roof, we have to wait for that roof renewal, and then we can design and install that solar system, and that should not take more than 2 months. So of course we like to build in the summer when our guys can be warm, but in the winter works as well. But then the savings begin. That's it in short. Maybe on the next page. Right, it's a picture. It's kind of a nice picture of our one of our guys on the roof at Barrett Boat Works. So you see a solar panel. Size of a panel is about this.
I have a question for Peter. You mentioned a couple times something about a high school moving in. I guess I'm.
That's the question we need to ask. There was some talk about a charter high school coming in here. And at this time, it doesn't look like it's going to be likely to happen.
Okay.
How does that affect the numbers?
That means that we need to reduce that system.
Well, what if we lease that wing in the future in another year?
Huh. That's a good point.
Yeah, because it's vacant right now, so it's there's only one room being used probably, so it's probably I don't expect it to be that much of an increase. From $10,000 to $14,000 in usage if the wing is empty.
Right, exactly. If it's empty,
So it's going to change all your numbers.
The way we estimate is we basically took the surface of that area that is concerned, and we took the same amount per square foot of usage as the rest of the building. So that's it's I mean, we could consider basically starting with a smaller system and add something to it later. That's something we can do, kind of prepare the building for a little bit larger system, but we have to redo our numbers because, of course, larger is going to be a little bit more attractive because, you bring your guys inside, you need to engineer, you need to design it. So we'll have to redo the numbers to see, what discount we can give it. In that case, it might go down a little bit.
I've got a question. Obviously, if we're going to store power, we need to have batteries, and those batteries need to be placed somewhere. How much space are we talking about taking up with battery storage?
A large refrigerator is 250 kilowatts, 250 kilowatt hours. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking, I would think like maybe 5 of those boxes, 6 of those black boxes there. Yeah.
Battery life?
Battery life is 10 years. So it's lithium-ion batteries.
And is that something that you would replace if you're still,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what would the cost replacement be for us if we were to buy the system and then have to replace them?
For the battery system?
Mm-hmm.
So the difficult thing of that question is that's going to be in 10 years. So it's going to be very hard to know what what that is going to, you know, what the pricing is going to be at that time. I don't know that question by heart, but I would think something in the $10,000 range.
Okay. That's
By
nice.
then. So right now it's probably 15 or 20 today.
Right, but it's we need to know as much as we can
Absolutely.
if we're going to go in this direction, because it's going to be an expense.
Right. No, but I can give you that information, but I can email it to you. What the replacement today would be. I can give you that number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
Is there any fluids or anything that is connected to the solar panels?
Any fluids?
Yeah, like the with the you know the windmills. You got hydraulic fluid. And you got,
yeah. Good, very good question. So no, and that's one of the beauties of solar systems. There are no moving parts, and there are no fluids in them. And at the Firekeepers Casino, where we did the water, and that was a whole other level of complication with it. So yeah, for maintenance, that's a very, very good question. There's no fluid. There are no fluids involved. Also, on the monitoring of the system, we always use inverters that can see each individual panel. So rather than knowing we have a 30 kilowatt system and it produces 27, you know, are some not working or they're all dirty, you can see that because you can see the difference in production between the different panels. So if you see one that's doing nothing and a bunch that are doing something, you know something's wrong. So actually we get automatic information when something is malfunctioning.
When we first met, there was some conversation over at Westwind about potential savings, and I think someone threw out a number of 75% savings in electricity, and then the proposal has that 30%. I'm not sure if you recall that conversation or if I misunderstood it.
Well, the 75% is how much of the building usage will be offset by what we put in.
Okay.
So, and that was that pie chart I showed, that 34% or something is taken away by the solar system, 40-something by the, so that's how much power, how much you use it, but someone has to pay for the system. Yeah.
Could this be built larger and excess electricity be sold by the city?
It's possible, but then it's at this. If you fill 100 acres with solar, they're still at 5 cents a kilowatt hour production cost. So when you put one little roof, there's not going to be a business case for it. I mean, it'll help us bridge. If you say if you say in a year, this space is going to be occupied, it will help us bridge that period.
City sold some property to the east of this building. Maybe someday there'd be a complex going in there for affordable housing. I don't know if this system could be sized to sell power over there to that complex.
I don't know if the city would be allowed to be selling power.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing would be, once city council just decides on a roof, then they would take this consideration, your proposal, once you revise it. And then, so it'd be the roof first and then your solar system?
That's right. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. What is the timeline expected for the roof today?
Soon, hope.
Soon, okay. No, that's good news. That's good. That's good. Great. Yeah.
And conceivably, we could put the pads in for the larger system when we redo the roof and go with a smaller system to start off with, right? We could conceivably do that.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And we would also, so the solar system is composed of solar panels that make DC electricity like a battery, and then you have inverters that turn it into grid quality power. We'll size those inverters from the start as well for that size and all the wires. So all we need to put is, do is extra wires between the panels and put the new panels in. Also, any of you who's interested, we can visit one of these systems. The one at Westwind is really easy because you don't need to climb a ladder. You can just walk onto the roof. So we can facilitate that.
You mentioned the Spring Lake LEED.
Yes.
Grand opening that's coming up next week. It is. Is someone from your company going to be there? for that open
yes,
house?
yes, I will be there, and I think
Okay.
at least one or two other colleagues are going to be there.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
You said that you could add more. So if the wing of this building does come about next year or in 2 years and it is leased, how fast could we get the other panels? Is there like a few months waiting or a few weeks waiting?
So the thing that lasts longest is the racking. So basically, that's these things you see here. That takes the longest. That can be 6 weeks. The panels, we can have them in 3 days, depending on which type we have. So if we kind of get organized a little bit in advance, yeah, that can be done pretty quickly. One important thing to know too is that the summer is maximum production time. The month of June produces as much on this location as much as December, January, February combined. So in the summer, we're always more in a rush to get it up quickly than in the winter, because we know we don't lose that much power in the winter.
I have one other question. And maybe it's not something you can determine because we don't necessarily know how much power we would need in an emergency situation, but how much, I mean, if we were just to keep or get the basics, keep them running here in a power outage, do you have any idea what the battery life would allow for that to keep going? Or, I mean, are we talking a day? Are we talking 3 days? Are we talking a week?
Order of magnitude is a day.
Okay.
Yes, it depends on how much you're going to draw, but if we set this, the question is what are you doing with your HVAC system, because that'll draw it down in several hours. Right. So is where I don't have the numbers by heart of your usage. What was it again? 70,000 a year. But yeah, you're talking a matter of 1 day.
Okay.
And the thing is, in the summer you get a lot of recharging day. In the winter, and up to March to September, you get your panels recharged. So if you have several good days in a row, you have a bunch.
Yeah.
The thing is, what you want to do in that case, if you're planning for that scenario, you want to look at what's the critical things we want to power, and just only power that. So have basically dedicated wiring going into those uses, because anything else could use it up real quick.
It sounds like the high school moving forward is a iffy proposition. Why wouldn't we just go ahead and put in the panels as designed now? Is it because it's not financially viable, or because of tax credits, or what's the reasoning behind that?
No, I mean, so if you look at it from a distance, we get paid about $7,000 a year to put this system in from you. You're paying about $10,000 total, because you're going to be paying the Grand Haven Board of Light and Power and both us. So them you're going to be paying for, and so that's in a new case. So there's $7,000 left over for us to pay back the system. If you build that big system, that amount is not going to pay the system back. And if you're paying us $7,000 while your usage is only 10, now you're going to pay us 7, and you're going to pay 5 to the Grand Haven Board of Light and Power. You're going to end up paying 12. So now you're actually going to go paying more, because or we charge less, and then we don't get the money that we need to pay back the system. So I think the solution there is really preparing the system for being bigger and building it smaller right now.
Timeline for the roof would, we hope to have a proposal in front of City Council at the next meeting on June 18th for them to consider a new roof. And then once the contractor gets the okay, then it'd be up to him when he would do the roof.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
So at that time, would we have a new proposal with it looking a little different?
Yes, we will produce, so before June 18, yeah, absolutely. We'll get you on next week. We should have some new numbers for the smaller system. Yeah. Absolutely, yes. And you can call me. There's some phone numbers and an email in the presentation, so you're welcome to call me. Yeah. Well, thank you. It's fun. It's fun to be out after dinner for a change, too, and not in the office.
seeing you next week. Thank you. Okay. Moving down to 7D, public hearing, proposed 2018-2019 city budget. Is there anyone here for the public hearing for this? Yep. The time is at 7:44. E, consideration for approval of a resolution to authorize the city's 2018 summer tax levy at 9.4637 mils. Everybody has the city packet, the budget with the changes and the different funding adjustments. Okay.
So as the mayor has indicated, the total millage for the city to levy would be 9.4637 mils. That compares to 2017 when it was 9.567 mils. The difference being reduced by the Headley Amendment Proposal A, the 0.1037.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution to authorize the city's 2018 summer tax levy at 9.4637 mils.
Support.
There's a motion and support. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. Moving down to 7F, discussion take action if appropriate to adopt a resolution adopting sewer and water rates and charges. And Craig, you had that in our information too tonight.
Correct. And to speak on Mrs. Roy's comment earlier today, the sewage system or sewage usage is based on what's used for water in the months of January, February, March. So that rate is carried on through the remainder of the calendar year, whatever the water usage is for the first quarter of the year. That way, when people sprinkle in the summer and the fall, they are not charged extra for the sewage, the water going into the sanitary sewer. It's based on the water they use in the first quarter. The water rates for 2018, there's no change in the water rate or the rate to surcharge for the water. The sewer rate is proposed to go up 4 cents per cubic meter. The rate to surcharge is proposed to go up around $37. That's broken down by the improvements to the force main, the water treatment plant, and the Ferrysburg lift stations. Ferrysburg's portion of the force main would come to about $13.56 per customer per quarter. The water treatment plant improvements is about $3.94 per customer per quarter. And the lift stations is $19.25 per customer per quarter, for about $36.75 a quarter increase, which is a 20% increase in the water and sewer rates over last year.
That'll be broken out in the customer bills.
That will be broken out in
That
each line.
special assessment or whatever terminology you're going to use.
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
And also the awareness to our residents too, that it can be broken down into monthly payments.
We plan to put a newsletter in the summer taxes explaining that if some customer wishes to make a monthly payment, the city will accept that. Yes.
Any other further discussion on this?
No, I'll make a motion
Okay.
to adopt a resolution adopting sewer and water rates and charges.
Support.
Support. Any further discussion?
I just have a comment to make. There seems to be a little bit of confusion out there amongst the public that we can raise taxes. And I just want to reiterate that we cannot. The board cannot raise taxes because of the sewer rates. So there seems to be some concerns. I don't know if anybody else has run into that, but. This is not.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table. All those in favor stating aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed. Moving down to 7G, discussion and to take action if appropriate to adopt a resolution regarding the fees. There was a fee schedule that was in our packet also.
Right, this is changes to the planning commission applications and zoning board of appeals applications to the city. Basically, the change is increasing the charge for an application to the zoning board of appeals and planning commission to cover public hearing costs, the city cost. Currently, we're charging $100 per application. We're proposing to raise that to $150 per application for planning commission and zoning board of appeals for a basic application. The PUDs and site plans for the planning commission, those are covered underneath the escrow account, so the applicant would actually pay the actual cost of review by the city engineer, the city attorney, and the city planner. There's really no change there. When we talk to the applicant when they come in, we stress to them to make sure you got all your ducks in a row. We're willing to meet with them on a pre-application to kind of get a feel for what they're bringing into us, make sure they know the city's requirements, so the less time they go in front of the city engineer or the city planner, the less cost to the applicant. So we work hard to keep these fees down to the applicants that come in.
Many residents appreciate that too.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Make a motion, whereas the city council's reviewed the fees charged for application to the planning commission, and whereas the city council's reviewed the fees charged for applications to the zoning board of appeals, and whereas the city council finds it necessary to adjust the fees for application to planning commission and the zoning board of appeals. Now therefore to be resolved that the Ferrisburgh City Council does hereby approve the fee schedule as shown and attached schedules, and authorize the charges to become effective July 1st, 2018.
Motion and support. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor stating aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. Moving down to 7H. Approve a resolution adopting the 2018-2019 city budget for $5,158,462 and appropriating funds for the said purposes. So, you have that resolution in front of you.
Can I say just so moved?
Or you could read H. 7H would suffice.
Oh, just that. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution adopting the 2018-2019 city budget. Was that $5 million? $158,462, appropriating funds.
Support.
Motion and support. All those in favor stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed. Moving down to 8, public comments. Ms. Price, did you want to? You snuck in a little early.
I did. This one? Well, I'm Amanda Price. I am District Director for Senator Meekhoff. Just send greetings from the Senator. A couple things that are happening, three things are happening in Lansing right now. Budget is getting very near finalization. And remember the revenue projections for cities, villages, and townships. I thought it was about a 2% increase in revenue sharing, but I haven't seen the final numbers. They've gotten agreement as to what the final budget is, but they are still having conference committees, meaning usually what happens is the Senate or the House proposes a budget, well, the governor proposes the budget, the House and the Senate have hearings on that budget, and then they agree to disagree, so they go to a conference committee and work out the differences. So they're going into conference committees this week to do that, and but they have reached target agreements for every one of their budgets. Second thing that's happened this week, it happened I think at the end of last week, is that the Board of Canvassers, when it met about 3 weeks ago, denied the ballot language or the signatures for the prevailing wage ballot initiative. That immediately got appealed, and the court last week said that the Board of Canvassers has to approve the ballot signatures, and so what that means then it'll come back to, I think they approved them today. They'll come back to the legislature next week, and as you know, citizens initiative petitions can be approved one of two ways. You can, the legislature, once the signatures are approved, can come and they go to the legislature can approve that initiative at that point, or it can wait and get voted on later in the year. So this issue will get voted on next week, I believe, and then go into effect. So it's reversing prevailing wage in Michigan. And that is something Arlen's been working on since the day I think he went into office. I had every single one of my terms in office in the House, the bill to repeal prevailing wage. It was the first Senate or first House bill in, I think, in the 15-16 session, House Bill 4001. So it's been a priority for Arlen, and I guess for me too. And then finally, the recreational marijuana issue is quite contentious. Arlen believes he has the votes to approve, similar to the prevailing wage initiative, approve that citizen petition, and then in doing so would amend it to include a lot of provisions that other states did not include when they had these issues come before them. You know, it's hard to tell. I think the Senate has the votes. I can't tell you where the House is on their votes, but tomorrow is the day. If they don't approve it, with the legislature approving it, then it will go on to the ballot, and it'll be a little bit wilder, wilder west, I guess, because you will not have some of the provisions that other states thought should be in some, or you know, looking back, they wish they would have had things in place that they don't have now. We talked to a lot of people, and while the revenue is great, the downside is how much law enforcement has to get involved, how many other, there's still the discrepancy between federal law and state law, still a scheduled drug, and so can't have any monies coming from a marijuana business into a regular banking institution because it's just not allowable. So there's a lot of backs and forth on that one. If the Senate votes on it, maybe the House will vote it, who knows. So those are the big things going on in Lansing right now. Once the budget's done, you know, it's still 3 months ahead of time, like we've been doing for the last 8 years now. So I can't tell you what's going to happen next year with the new governor, and but hopefully that's the expectation, is that your budgets will get done this early, and so especially for the school districts, it makes a big difference. But if you've got a July 1 fiscal year, it makes a big difference to you too. Yeah, so that's, any questions for me?
I hear the state's going to have a $800 and some million budget surplus this year. Is there any talk entertaining of increasing revenue sharing to local municipalities, and or since taxation is essentially theft, is any of it going to be returned back to citizens? Well, with a lower income tax?
Yeah, that's the continuing revenue sharing debate always goes on, and what I think happens a lot is you get so much turnover in the legislature, people forget that there was a deal done on revenue sharing at one point. So we stopped doing local municipal taxation, and we all agreed to do one set of taxes, except it was supposed to come back, and people forget that. goes to Lansing, it doesn't come back sometimes. So it's always a very hard fight. There has been somewhat of an increase over the last 3-4 years in revenue sharing, but not to the extent that some local units would like to see it or think needs to be reinstated. I think the majority of the dollars will be going towards roads and school safety.
But the increased tax, gasoline tax was going to be going to roads.
They, when we passed that, there's still great shortfall in all of that. And so they've made a commitment. They took $175 million earlier this year in lapsed funds from last year's budget and allocated it towards roads. And this excess dollars are being allocated. And I can't quite tell you what the percentages are going towards roads versus school safety, but those are the two pots that any excess revenue was going to go into.
Back when you were in office, that is when all that transpired, and it was my understanding that they increased the gas tax, and for a set period of time, none of it went to roads. It went into the state budget for a certain period of time, and now it's time where we're going to start spending money back on roads. But I certainly would be in great support of either returning it to the citizens or increasing revenue sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So
there was
a
point where it was going to take a little while for the dollars to accumulate to come to roads, but that happened about 2 years ago. So local road commissions are seeing the uptick in it, and you're seeing upticks in road construction as well. But it was never going to meet the stated need at the time. So the projections were billions off. Yeah, and I think in particular cities are feeling that more so than because they've been penalized more so than villages and townships. Well, maybe townships in particular, but counties too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that goes back to education of elected officials. Because I remember having that discussion a lot. What about revenue sharing? Asking when the governor would come into caucus, what about revenue sharing? And it always seemed like a secondary priority. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Summer. Okay. Any other further public comments? No? Hearing none. Go down to manager's report. Okay, city council. Councilmember Belize.
The Recreation Committee met last week, Thursday. We're hoping to possibly get some playground equipment from the Grand Haven City. That was Imagination Station, because they're redoing the new playground equipment over there. And hopefully we can use it at Firebarn Park. Nothing's been finalized yet, but that's what we're hoping. And then the Coast Guard picnic looks like it's in pretty good shape. That's going to be, of course, Sunday, July 29th, 1 to 4, Coast Guard Park.
Sweet Justice is still scheduled to play, I believe.
Yep, I think.
Yes.
Are they, Craig? Sweet Justice? Sweet Justice, are they playing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think they are. Yep. End of report.
Since Mike's not here, I'm going to remind everybody about Cops and Cones. That is this Saturday. I don't know, I forgot the time. 1 to 4. Thank you. And from the beautification, they're down to the final getting things together for the 4th of July. So mayor's breakfast, and then the parade, and then the picnic at William Ferry Park. End of report.
No report.
Lots of things to report. At the Elected Officers Academy training I went to a couple weeks ago. Just in general conversation with one of the other gentlemen there, I talked to him about a proposal that is out there that I am working on to change the name of Coast Guard Park and to Coast Guard Memorial Park, having it the tower designated as a monument, putting some plaques up, some other really nice changes that are designed for that, and not realizing at that particular time that he was the commander of the American Legion. He said, well, let me know, we donate to that sort of stuff. And it seems just in general conversation with people that they are really in favor of this project. I've got tentative approval from the rec committee. I got to go before them again once I get the final word from the U.S. Coast Guard, some minor legal things, but I'm just waiting to hear from them. So look for some neat things coming out of there. I think people will really be excited once they hear all the stuff that's planned for that. This is a project that's been worked on for a couple of years by the local Coast Guard Auxiliary. June 9th, I will be participating with the Cops for Cones as a representative of the fire department. We'll have a fire truck over there and some handouts. June 13th, we'll be presenting a commemoration letter from the Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla Grand Haven as their flotilla commander, and as a dual role as the representative from the city of Ferrysburg. I will be presenting a joint resolution from the cities of Grand Haven, Ferrysburg, and the village of Spring Lake. That's a really great honor, I think, to participate in that program. The only other thing I had was we got the annual report for the Sheriff's Department, and one of the things that I think is really concerning is the statistics showing the crimes committed involving drugs and alcohol. And it's, in my many years working in the public safety field, I've never seen it this bad. If you've ever seen anybody die from a drug overdose, it's not pretty. And it's pretty bad when they have to put Narcan on first responders' rigs to try and combat this. I don't know if we could look into having a task force or a committee or something that put together that could look into ways of dealing with this. It's something that I've been I feel very, very strongly about, and I'm getting tired of responding to all these young people that are killing themselves with drugs. I'll still do. I'm not tired where, you know, I'm not going to do it, but I'm just tired of seeing the wasted lives out there. So, I guess that's end of my report.
Thank you. Last week, Friday, I had the opportunity to participate in the change of command down in Washington, D.C. And if you read the local Grand Haven Tribune, it was a pretty amazing opportunity. Just from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. that whole day. Retired Commander Mike Smith did a fabulous job pulling us all together and organizing the whole day. So it was definitely a very, very memorable experience. So that was it. Hope to see everybody at Miss Lisa's on Saturday.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
As dismissed. Debbie, can you add me to the
Hoping it's gonna be nice.
Mr. Klein.
business lunch?
Just one?
Yep. June 20th, Wednesday.
Yep.
High noon.
We'll wait till we're off air here. Are we off? Huh? Are we off?